Is resurrection possible? Or is it just a metaphorical way to describe the divine influence? Is it common across different religions and beliefs? And how does science explain it? Let's explore ancient Egyptian wisdom, Hindu beliefs, the Bible, and scientific perspectives to seek similarities and differences, and perhaps even uncover answers to these profound questions. Each tradition brings a unique perspective to resurrection, to the journey of the soul, and the deeper meanings and impacts on its culture. Before we dive in, please like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might enjoy it. Your support helps me a lot, and I truly appreciate it. The Vedas, which are among the oldest sacred texts in Hinduism, do not explicitly detail the concept of resurrection in the way that later religious traditions might describe it. Instead, they focus on the broader concepts of life, death, and the afterlife, which are integral to the Hindu understanding of the cycle of existence. Cycle of rebirth, samsara. The Vedas describe the cyclical nature of existence, known as samsara. This cycle involves birth, death, and rebirth. According to Vedic thought, the soul, Atman, undergoes a series of reincarnations, influenced by one's actions, karma, in previous lives. The aim is to attain liberation from this cycle, karma, and moksha. The Vedas emphasize the importance of karma, actions, and its effects on future lives. The ultimate goal is to achieve moksha, liberation, which is freedom from the cycle of rebirth and resulting union with the divine. Moksha represents a state of eternal bliss and self-realization. Vedic rituals and sacrifices were believed to impact one's fate in future lives and were essential for spiritual progress. While these practices do not involve resurrection, they were meant to influence the soul's journey and ultimate liberation. The specific idea of resurrection, where the physical body is revived after death, is more characteristic of later Hindu texts and traditions, such as the Puranas and certain philosophical schools that emerged after the Vedic period. Let's explore some cases in Hindu myths. Savitri and Satyavan. The story is part of the Mahabharata, with origins dating to circa 400 BCE. Savitri, the devoted wife, was warned that her beloved Satyavan would die young. On the fateful day, she followed him to the forest, where he fell lifeless. As Yama, the god of death, came to claim Satyavan's soul, Savitri pursued him, her words filled with wisdom and devotion. Moved by her love and virtue, Yama granted her a blessing, ultimately restoring Satyavan's life. Her devotion overcame even death itself, a tale of love so powerful it echoed across ages as the story of faith's triumph. Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada. The story is found in Puranic texts, likely dating to the early centuries of the Common Era. Prahlada, a devout boy, adored Vishnu despite his father Hiranyakashipu's hatred for the god. Infuriated, Hiranyakashipu tried to kill his son, subjecting him to fire and beasts. Yet Prahlada emerged unharmed, saved by divine intervention. Finally, Vishnu appeared as Narasimha, a ferocious half-man, half-lion, and destroyed Hiranyakashipu. Prahlada's survival was a resurrection of faith, proving that divine protection watches over the devoted, and that love for the divine is more powerful than death itself. In Hinduism, resurrection often conveys themes of devotion, faith, and divine justice, rather than a literal, eternal afterlife. For example, Savitri's story is not only about restoring her husband's life, but about the triumph of love and virtue over fate. Similarly, Prahlada's protection symbolizes divine care for the righteous, suggesting that devotion can surpass even death. These stories provide moral examples and show the soul's continuity through divine grace. Texts like the Vedas, Upanishads, and later commentaries provide detailed accounts of extraordinary abilities known as siddhis, among which there are abilities of ultimate healing, including reviving the dead, such as kaya kalpa, immortality or longevity, parakaya pravesha, entering another body, sanjivani, reviving the dead, healing powers, to cure diseases or injuries in oneself or others, physical or mental. If to accept the idea of siddhis, resurrection becomes not a fairy tale and not even a miracle, but a real possibility, an example of divine power over the material world, still accessible only to the highly spiritual beings. No wonder we do not see these abilities nowadays. The resurrection stories in ancient Egyptian, biblical, and Hindu traditions share key themes and concepts. despite differences in cultural and theological details. Common themes include the triumph over death, divine intervention, hope, and renewal. These narratives also incorporate mystical elements, such as the use of sacred words and prayers, which enhance their sacred mystery and convey the power of the divine. In all three traditions, resurrection symbolizes victory over death, emphasizing that mortality is not the ultimate end, but a transformative stage. Death is portrayed as a barrier that can be transcended through divine will, faith, or moral virtue. Each tradition views life and death as interconnected, forming part of a cyclical or divinely ordered framework. Ultimately, resurrection suggests that life and death are not mutually exclusive, but are interwoven within a divine plan that transcends mortality. Among these stories, the resurrection of Jesus stands out uniquely. It is the only instance where no external actions were performed by another being to bring about the resurrection. Only divine will was involved. Could this serve as evidence of Jesus' divine nature? To explore this question, let us compare Jesus' appearance to John in the book of Revelation with the description of the Supreme Lord revealed to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. I turned around to see the voice that was speaking to me. And when I turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and among the lampstands was someone like a son of man, dressed in a robe reaching down to his feet, and with a golden sash around his chest. The hair on his head was white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were like blazing fire. His feet were like bronze glowing in a furnace, and his voice was like the sound of rushing waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars, and coming out of his mouth was a sharp, double-edged sword. His face was like the sun shining in all its brilliance. In this passage, John has a vision of Jesus in his glorified state, described with intense imagery representing his power and divine nature. The intense brightness of face shining like the sun represents divine glory, overwhelming presence of God whose nature is pure, absolute, and transcending. Bhagavad Gita passed the story of dialogue between human Arjuna and God, who revealed himself in human body. Before the Kurukshetra battle, remarkable parallels emerge between these accounts, suggesting profound commonalities in their depictions of divine encounters. Supreme Lord said, "But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence." Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine, upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all-expanding. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Arjuna said, "I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides, like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind." Extreme bright light, festive clothes, divine weapons, blazing eyes and face, manage over stars/planets. These are all similar elements that appear in both revelations. I consider these attributes not as symbols, but as the actual visions both John and Arjuna experienced, projections of eternal aspects of God onto material 3D consciousness. Although Arjuna was granted divine eyes to witness God's capacities, he still had to translate these visions into earthly forms so his material mind could accept and understand them to be able to express them, including verbally. For example, many eyes can be a visualization of all-pervading vision simultaneously directed in all directions of all dimensions, which are endless. The same with arms, as a symbol of God acting everywhere as his arms are not limited, etc. Weapons in both revelations show power and judgment. means all these abstract concepts found their visualization in the most convenient and understandable way for viewers. Brilliant blinding lighting is even less metaphoric, but an exact display of God being the absolute, the purest energy, as even in our lower form of living light and energy are closely tightened. Therefore, all the images seen are not symbolic but rather simplified forms, from endless of infinite dimension to earthly 3D, representing immaterial properties, as they appeared in the mind to be accessible to awareness, and that awareness is limited in any case. God cannot be fully realized, being of a higher degree, infinitely higher, or absolute. To observe whatever entity in full extent, the observation point outside the entity is needed. This is impossible with God, as God is absolute of everything and humans are part of that everything. Humans cannot be outside God, therefore, will never be able to, let's say, see the whole God. Like one edge of the cube cannot observe the whole cube, cannot even know what figure it belongs to. We only can see and realize part of God He shows to us, and revelations are like that. God shows to humans certain sides, aspects of His personality, in form inedible for limited consciousness. The emotions that such appearances evoke are also similar. Not only awe before the face of the Lord, but also fear of God, as a sensory understanding of boundless greatness, and up to the impossibility of prolonged contact with the divine. How can this be explained on a metaphysical level? Dissolution in God, burning out of the base through the divine presence? The impossibility of embracing this experience with understanding? Anyway, the impossibility of even looking at the divine, prostration and reverent horror are the constant companions of such an experience of encounters with the divine. Thus, I interpret these descriptions as the real experience of contact with the divine, resulting in an imprint on consciousness that allows for inner contemplation. Such experiences align with the Vedic concept of God's avatars. Avatara, Sanskrit for descent. In this tradition, an avatar is a direct manifestation of God, who takes human or other forms to restore balance, destroy evil, and protect righteousness. Avatars possess both divine and human attributes, making the divine accessible to humanity. Vishnu or Krishna are considered avatars of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, Jesus shares key characteristics of an avatar: divine descent, a mission of redemption, compassion for humanity, moral teaching, the performance of miracles, and ultimately, his sacrificial roles. The next avatar, Kalki, means the future warrior, is yet to come according to the Dashavatara schedule. He is prophesied to appear at the end of the current age, Kali Yuga, to destroy evil, restore righteousness, renew the world, and usher a new age. Satya Yuga means age of truth, marked by flourishing of all virtues and the absence of vices. It strongly parallels with Jesus' promised second coming, when he is expected to return and establish God's kingdom and judge the world. In both beliefs, this is a divine response to the world's moral and spiritual decline. These parallels underscore the similarity between the revelation appearances of Jesus and the Supreme Lord in Vedas. Therefore, his unique resurrection gains deeper significance and explanation. I hope you enjoyed this video and discovered some new and captivating ideas today. I am deeply grateful to everyone who supports me. If you haven't yet and would like to, please support me by links below or by using the Super Thanks button on YouTube. Thank you for every like, comment, and subscription. See you in my next video.